Good morning. The town of Purcellville has a town manager for the 9th time in 7 years. For Friday, September 12th, it's your Loudon Now Morning Minute. The Community Foundation for Loudoun and Northern Fauquier Counties invites you to their 2025 Roots and Legacies Awards Dinner and Gala on Friday, November 21st at Gordon Springs in Purcellville. They congratulate this year's Philanthropists of the Year, Jim and Rebecca McDermott, Changemaker of the Year, Father Daniel Velez Rivera, and Morven Park, winner of the Nonprofit Achievement Award. Roots and Legacies will be a night to remember, and event proceeds support the Community Foundation's mission to grow community giving. Tickets and sponsorships are now available at communityfoundationlf.org. Thanks for being with us. I'm Rince Green. The Purcellville Town Council has narrowly voted to keep acting town manager Diana Hayes at the helm. She has the unusual honor of being Purcellville's 9th town manager in the last 7 years. Just to run through the list, Rob Lohr was town manager for 24 years. He was forced out by the town council in April 2017. Public Works Director Alex Venegas stepped in as interim in May of 2017 after the council picked him over deputy town manager Danny Davis. Venegas was fired amid scandal in November of that year, and Director of Administration Hooper McCann stepped up. John Anzavino was appointed interim in December 2017. In March 2018, the town hired David McCarskey as town manager, and he stayed on until February 2023. John Anzavino came back as interim manager again, but resigned in the middle of a town council meeting in April. Glenn Adams was appointed interim manager in May, and then Rick Brimseth in June, and the council made him permanent town manager in July. Until January 2025, when he was fired and the town council appointed Kwesi Frazier, who had been the mayor until 2023, as interim manager. He was arrested on felony charges in July of this year and placed on paid administrative leave, and Diana Hayes stepped up. There's a timeline for all this in the story on our website. Okay, now that we're all caught up, Hayes, who is the town's assistant town manager, stepped into the role after Frazier was placed on that paid administrative leave because he was charged with felony bid rigging and commercial conspiracy against the town government, and he's awaiting trial. Vice Mayor and former town police officer Ben Nett also faces those charges and 4 additional counts of misuse of a law enforcement database. Hayes has been assistant town manager since 2023 when she was promoted from town clerk. She's been the acting manager since Frazier's arrest, and she's worked for the town for 13 years. In August, the town council directed the town's human resources to start working on hiring a new interim manager. Councilmember Susan Khalil said the town should hire someone with more experience than Hayes, but this week, Human Resources Director LaDonna Snellbaker told the town council that's not fair to say about someone who has worked for the town in multiple positions for 13 years.
All of these positions have given her direct insight into town operations, as well as extensive interaction with mayors and council members. Importantly, despite significant turnover in the town manager position over the last decade, the office has remained stable. The continuity, in large part, is due to the assistant town manager, who has consistently supported incoming town managers by providing critical information, guidance, training, and institutional knowledge. Her level of professionalism that she brings every day, experience and commitment underscore the stability that she brings to town operations and highlight her value to the organization. And I feel it's important that that's pointed out and that that's taken into consideration.
Also, she said keeping Hayes in the job would cost the town an additional $8,400 this fiscal year. By comparison, hiring an interim town manager at 30 hours a week using a recruiting firm would cost about $141,000 this fiscal year. Hiring a full-time interim town manager would add about $190,000 to this year's budget. And finally, hiring a recruiting firm to find a full-time interim town manager would cost an estimated $240,000. Snellbaker recommended keeping Hayes in the job.
Given the budget cuts that were already adopted for FY26, along with the directive that we have to find an additional $800,000 in cost reductions, it's my responsibility to, as a professional advisor, to provide options that mitigate organizational risk while maintaining operational stability with minimal financial impact to the town. Ignoring these options would be a disservice to the town, council, citizens, as well as staff.
Some members of the council said they'd like to go ahead with hiring a full-time interim town manager anyway. Here's Ben Nett.
I think it's important in the recruitment of a interim town manager that you approach it from the perspective that this person may or may not be the full-time town manager going forward. Lots unknown on that. And I find it a little bit ironic for people on this dais and some folks in this room to talk about cost impact to the town when substantial civil liability is facing this town, due in large part to at least 4 members that I can see in this room right now.
But a narrow majority supported just keeping Hayes in the position. Here's Councilmember Erin Rayner.
I just don't understand how the 4 of you could sit here with a straight face and actually consider any of this except for option 1 in keeping Diana in, because she'd be the one doing the work anyways, whoever you brought in, because she's been doing it and her experience, and it would just waste more time and energy to even consider somebody else and resources that we don't have, especially with everything that's coming down the pipeline with funding for this town.
Khalil broke with the 4-member majority, a rare thing, which created a 1-vote majority for keeping Hayes in the job. Rayner, Caleb Stott, and Kevin Wright also voted for Hayes. Go to loudounnow.com/Morning Minute to check out the whole story. In other news, the Loudoun Chamber has announced the finalists for their 31st annual Loudoun Small Business Awards, and we're one of them. The Chamber announced their 28 finalists across 7 categories yesterday. We're in the nonprofit category. Loudoners will also pick this year's People's Choice Award over the next week with online voting open until next Thursday, September 18th at 5 p.m. You can pick your favorite finalist in each category. That voting is online at loudonchamber.org/SBA. The winner in each category becomes a finalist for the Chamber's 2025 Loudoun Small Business of the Year. The winners in every category will be announced at the 31st Annual Loudoun Small Business Awards Gala to be held Friday, November 7th at the National Conference Center in Lansdowne. You can see the list of all 28 finalists in the story on our website, and it's a pretty amazing list. Here's a quote from Loudoun Now Executive Director Rynce Green. "We are really honored and excited, and thank you. We can't wait for the gala." The Leesburg Town Council has awarded a contract to design and engineer an air traffic control tower at Leesburg Executive Airport. From 2018 to 2023, the airport had a remote air traffic control tower as part of an FAA pilot program. No puns there, it's just a pilot program. And they were testing out the idea that you could have air traffic controllers and cameras set up and not actually have the air traffic controllers there in a tower. The federal government ended that program in July 2023, and the airport entered an agreement with the FAA to use a mobile tower with plans to build a brick and mortar tower within 5 years. The new tower is estimated to cost about $2.1 million, about $2 million of that coming from the FAA, and another $85,000 coming from the Virginia Department of Aviation. The town will pick up the balance. And yesterday, Loudoun remembered 9/11. We've got the story on those remembrances on our website, so get the full story on this and all these stories over at loudounnow.com. On today's Get Out Loudoun calendar, Drives for Dogs 2025 is at the 1757 Golf Club today at 6 p.m. Clubs are provided, no skills necessary, and it raises money for veterans moving forward to provide service dogs for veterans in need. If you're feeling like some live music today, Jason Macy is playing Harper's Ferry Brewing at 5 p.m. Rob Hoey is playing Harvest Gap Brewery at 6. Small Town Titans are at Tally Ho Theater at 7, and plenty more. So check out the rest of the events calendar at getoutloudon.com. And if you like the Morning Minute, build a $2.1 million podcasting tower to tell all your friends and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and it'll be waiting for you there every morning. Okay, have a great day.